Chapter 16. When the Pot Boils. I couldn't believe I'd messed up so epically. I admitted I liked a girl, and it totally backfired. In my face. I paced around the restaurant while Brian munched on the last of his churro, and Martín made jokes about the chocolate churros looking like poop. Martín was an imbecile. I went out to the patio and didn't see Carmen anywhere. She was probably avoiding me like I had the plague or something. Of course she didn't like me. She kept saying we were family. I should have known better. I could imagine myself talking to Abuelo. But, Abuelo, you said to have courage, to fight for your dreams, to fight for love like José Martí. Yes, Arturito, he would say, but you can't love your mom's goddaughter like that. That's just wrong, dude. Okay, maybe Abuelo wouldn't have said dude, but still. I had a view of the lot from the patio, and I could see Wilfrido Pipo on stage. He spoke excitedly into the microphone as festival-goers gathered. It was almost 8, and the sun had begun to drop over Main Street, casting shadows on the festival and turning the sky pink and orange. I thought of Pipo Place and the shadow it would cast if Wilfrido got his way. The building would absorb the entire neighborhood like a light-sucking vampire that turned everything into darkness. Good people, thank you all for coming to El Festival de las Estrellas. I hope you've all had a wonderful day. I could have sworn Wilfrido winked at Commissioner Garcia, who was standing in the front row. Dulce from Two Scoops was there as well. I also spotted Enrique and Miss Patterson. Bicycle Bill sat on the outskirts of the growing crowd. He stroked his toy poodle, Henry, as he took in the scene. Was Wilfrido the Pied Piper or something? Look, everyone, this neighborhood is great. But don't you think it's time to take it to the next level? A few people clapped and nodded. It takes courage to embrace change, Wilfrido continued, and I think you all have that. You really do. I felt like he was stealing Abuela's words. Courage wasn't something that Wilfrido had. My family had courage. Then I noticed Vanessa standing just outside of the festival, as Wilfrido had ordered, flyers limp in her hands. Allie stood by her. She dropped her head onto Vanessa's shoulder and wrapped her arm around her. It was like an admission of defeat. It was a we did our best kind of gesture. I could see flyers scattered in the streets just a few feet behind them, left behind by people who were now enjoying the festival. I looked back at my family. Uncle Carlos pushed the quadruple stroller back and forth, trying to put his 4 kids to sleep. Aunt Tuti watched quietly and reached for Uncle Carlos's hand. He took it in the way a younger brother takes the hand of his older sister when he wants things to be okay. My family gathered closer together, confined to our patio. I looked at Wilfrido on stage, alone. This ridiculous family-friendly community, he had said. Where was Wilfrido's family? All that success, and I never heard him talk about anyone who he cared about. Not one person. That was when it all clicked into place for me. All the towns where Wilfrido had developed land were tight-knit communities, just like Canal Grove. I looked at the crowd again. Annabelle and George held hands while they listened to Wilfrido. They had known each other since middle school, the same Paul Middle that I went to. They were getting married where Annabelle's parents had gotten married years before. Miss Patterson and Miss Minerva had worked at the same school for over 30 years. Dulce started Two Scoops a year after La Cocina opened. Enrique was a prodigy at Palm High, left to attend a top art school in Paris, and returned to his hometown to open a gallery. Bicycle Bill? Well, nobody really knew where Bicycle Bill came from, but he had lived in the neighborhood for as long as anybody could remember. It's time to usher in a new era, Wilfrido yelled, where money will flow from the buildings that rise. Something suddenly came over me. I grabbed the sign Carmen had held earlier and marched toward the stage. I lifted the sign over my head and walked through the crowd, showing them all what they failed to see for themselves. Family is community. Community is family. This community is about family. Canal Grove has always been about family. And now you want this guy who knows nothing about us to come in here and mess with our family? Hey, Wilfrido yelled, you're not supposed to have that on festival grounds. Wilfrido's security reached out for me, but before they could grab me, I swung the sign like a weapon and sprang back. "Get him out of here!" Wilfrido yelled. He ordered more security to come after me, but I swung my poster around like a sword to ward them off. Before I could do anything, I felt my sign ripped out of my hands from above. The security guard stopped, and when I looked up, I saw Wilfrido had plucked my sign from his post on the stage. His face had turned so red. He looked like a crab that had been boiled so long its claws were about to crack. He was disgusted by the sign. "Community is family? I'll show you what family is." Wilfrido snapped the sign in half with his knee and tossed the broken bits into the crowd. A few people ducked and scattered out of the way. Family is a flawed system. Family will not save you or provide for you or keep you safe. The only thing that keeps you safe is money. Do you think these people care about your family, little boy? They don't. They care about themselves. Do you think Chuchi isn't beaming at the prospect of a whole new flock of business once my building goes up? Do you think the commissioner isn't jumping for joy knowing by the time elections come around he will have presided over the biggest economic growth this town has ever seen? You think because people go to your restaurant that they owe you some kind of allegiance? "You're wrong," I yelled, storming the stage. "Just because you don't have a family or don't care about them doesn't mean they don't care about theirs." I pointed to everyone in the crowd. "You be quiet about my family, little boy. Why don't you ever talk about your family? What are you hiding?" I yelled at the top of my lungs while Wilfrido gritted his teeth and tried to smile at the crowd. Family is a competition where the strongest gets the inheritance. That is how success is taught. Wilfrido sneered, then drew in close. His breath smelled like room-temperature cheese. "I beat my family and my brothers and sisters and earned my father's love. You win by being strong, not sentimental and weak." Wilfrido stepped away from me and addressed the crowd. "This boy and his family are beginning to look like sore losers." Wilfrido laughed and continued. "They are sneaking around, trying to rally and protest something that is perfectly within my right to do. Apparently, your abuela and abuelo didn't learn that in this country, people are free to buy property." "They knew that," I said, my voice loud and bold. "But José Martí said, 'We are free.'" I tried to remember the quote Carmen said. "But not to be indifferent from the... Darn. What did he say?" "You can't even remember the quote. Pathetic. But not to profit from the people, from the work created and sustained through their spirit." Bicycle Bill chimed in as he walked to the foot of the stage. He slowly picked up the broken sign and took it back to his bike. "Whatever the quote, this is my festival, and I have done nothing wrong by placing a bid on this property. And you have intruded and handed out propaganda when I explicitly told you not to. Now get this boy out of my sight." Everyone in the crowd looked like they had just seen an alien spaceship land. Their jaws were on the floor. Before I could figure out what that meant, I felt two hands grab me and escort me off the stage. "Don't touch my nephew!" Antuti yelled at Wilfrido's festival security guards. On my way to wherever they were taking me, I caught a glimpse of Carmen on the restaurant's patio. I guess she'd seen the whole thing. It felt like 1,000 pounds of refried beans had just been dumped onto my head.